and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, is there a motion to excuse Mayor Rogers from tonight's meeting?
I move to excuse Mayor Rogers from this evening's meeting.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Donna, would you call the roll, please?
I will. Councilmember Dorsey?
Here.
Councilmember Inesco?
Here.
Councilmember Krantz?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Peterson?
Here.
Councilmember McDowell?
Present.
Councilmember Schmidt?
Here.
And does the council have any changes to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to council reports. Councilmember Schmidt, would you start us off, please?
Good evening. Last week I attended a MACECOM board meeting as well as an afternoon at the Ridge Motorsports Park for the Economic Development Council annual retreat. And that is it for me.
Met with several constituents, had my briefing with Jeff. The parade was great, and attended the essentials for elected in the city of Olympia.
As for myself, I also attended the parade and the Economic Development 5-County Expo, briefings with Jeff, a few constituent meetings, and my committees resume in January. Councilmember Dorsey also asked that I address Christmastown USA, which we'll get to a little bit later today. But Christmastown USA has 797 trees, thanks to the work of the entire community pulling together, and it was wonderful to see the parade and the maze and all of the activities surrounding that during this holiday season.
Can we clap at this time?
If you'd like to.
I mean, we're not supposed to,
I think it's worth an
but
exception.
we can do that.
Councilmember Krantz.
Well, pretty light couple of weeks, going to be a light couple of weeks in the future here. This is my last City of Shelton Council meeting, and I would like to say it's been my pleasure to serve the citizens of Shelton for these past 8 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we clap now for that?
Yep.
Clapping because you're leaving, no.
Very quiet 2 weeks. I also attended the tree lighting and the Christmas parade and thank everybody involved. I know the Kiwanis and the Hansons had a great deal to do with it in the chamber, and it just gets better every year. And thank you, everybody. And I had a meeting with a citizen, and that's really it. It's been real quiet.
Councilmember
Outside
Dorsey.
briefings.
Yes. Councilmember Dorsey.
Well, again, yeah, we went to the parade, and that was a fun night. I just want to add that the downtown area looks terrific. Heidi and Deidre and Rachel and the group, I don't know who, I don't want to leave anybody out, but that place was fantastic. It was great down there at the Olson Furniture, all the trees, and I just want to thank them for that. I had, other than my briefings with Jeff, I had an MTA, a Mason Transit Authority meeting today, and I attended the luncheon today for the city employees, and I wanted to congratulate Kim. She's not here tonight, is she? What's her last name? Kilmer for the Employee of the Year.
Yes.
Yay.
Fantastic. All right, with that, we will move on to general public comment. Donna, has anyone signed up for public comment this evening?
There is no one signed up.
Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve this consent agenda as published.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. With that, we'll move on to our presentations. We have several presentations this evening, lots of positive things to celebrate, the first of which is a citizen commendation, and that would be presented by Chief Moody.
I'd like to introduce you to Dan Dixon. He's an employee over at SPI. Back in November, our officers responded over near SPI for an incident, and the officer felt so strongly that he put it in an email to me that he felt he should be recognized. On November 6th, at approximately 6:30 in the morning, Dan Dixon was arriving for work at Sierra Pacific. As he was pulling into the parking lot, he could hear moaning noises coming from someone near the Goldsboro Creek. He got out of his vehicle and heard the noises, so he went to investigate, and he found a woman in the icy creek waters. He called 911, jumped into the water to save her. The temperature outside that day was about 30 degrees. He pulled her out of the icy water, held her along the bank until fire department could extract her. He was standing in the cold creek water at 6:30 in the morning for at least 15 or more minutes before apparatus were able to extract him from the steep bank, and he definitely saved her life that day. So I just wanted to recognize Dan, and the SPI staff is here, supervisors, in front of the council for what a good job he did that day as a citizen of this community.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Always stand out here. Okay.
Are you smiling?
Sure.
Thank you. He is now.
Get in there, Mary.
Sorry, I swear on the last one. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Next. Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
And while I know that Mr. Dixon was a bit reticent to be here tonight to be recognized, we just want to extend our thanks and gratitude. That it is so nice to see a citizen doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Chief Moody, I think you're up. Actually, I'm sorry. We have another presentation, but Captain Fiola, if you would like to speak to us about the WASPIC accreditation.
Absolutely. Council members, thanks for being here tonight. So this is our trophy, for lack of better words, our plaque. This is Law Enforcement Accreditation Award from the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs. So one of our plans for the Shelton Police Department when Chief Moody came on was to get our agency accredited. That takes a lot of work. There's only about 25% of all police departments in Washington State that are accredited through WASPIC. It's very prestigious. There's a lot of standards that you have to meet to show that your agency is up to all 21st century policing standards, from hiring to records to evidence to patrol, everything you can think of. This was a huge task. Chief Moody allowed me to get the green light to turn this thing on. We got support from the council members, so I do appreciate that, and thank you. But the real award goes to the police officers of our agency. They're the ones that are out there walking the walk, talking the talk, and making my job easy as an administrator. So I wanted to thank them especially. So that's all I have for that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Can I add one thing while he's up
Yes,
there?
of course.
I just want to give Captain Fielder credit. He did all the heavy lifting in this, did all the projects, had to go through all the policies, and if you've ever been through an audit, which I know Aaron can testify to that one, it's excruciating. And so he did a great job doing it.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
I have a little less hair now, but you got it.
All
Thank
right.
you so
you.
much. With that, we'll move on to recognizing Councilmember Krantz for his service to the council for these last 8 years. And I would just like to say thank you for your diligence, your commitment, your service to the citizens, and especially for the work that you did in providing a statewide coalition to provide funding, bring our debts down. We know how hard you've worked and appreciate all of your time and efforts. So I'd like to provide with you just a token of the city's appreciation for service presented to Gary Krantz for your dedicated service to the city of Shelton, December 17th, 2019.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Where's the cake?
Nice.
We-
Yeah,
7
Chef
layers.
Larry's chocolate cake. No, that was Chef Knighton's chore.
Can we add to that
Aye.
at this time?
If the council members would like to say anything, we'll start with council
Okay.
members.
All right, I would, yeah. Well, we all know that Gary is Gary, right?
That's a correct statement.
And what a lot of people don't really realize is that he did work for the ratepayers. He helped lower building permit fees, helped bring multi-millions of dollars to this town with the help of our staff as well, by, talking to Tim Sheldon and Drew McEwen and Dan Griffey. He stopped some projects from getting funding because it would have just put us farther in debt, and some projects that we didn't need at the time. So that we didn't need to borrow more money at the time is what I'm getting at. And Shelton just could not afford to do any more of that. And as a result, now we're reducing debt, like Deidre mentioned, and, but we still have a long way to go. So thanks for your service.
Thank you.
Well, I wasn't ready to make a speech, but I'll say our meetings are going to be
Much
quite
shorter.
boring without you.
Quite boring.
I'll probably maybe doze a little bit.
We can save them a seat in the front row.
Thank you for your mentoring and some of your helping me out when I first got on the council.
Kathy?
I want to say a big, huge thank you to Gary. He's been a friend for many, many years, and I appreciate all his hard work. Your hard work, Gary, that you put forward for this city. And our city is looking great, and I attribute part of that to your diligence. So I just want to say thank you. You will be missed. I will miss you.
Thank you for your service to the city. And, you know, while we may not have always agreed,
Really?
we have been able to shake hands and go back and work together. And that is kind of how this is supposed to work. So I appreciate that. Appreciate your willingness to step up and serve the city, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Gary.
you.
Thank you all very much for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Speech.
No more, not from me.
7-layer chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Well, with that, thank you again, Councilmember Krantz, for your service. And our last presentation this evening is a proclamation, City of Shelton proclamation. Whereas the City of Shelton became known as Christmastown, USA, in preparation for the 1962 World's Fair, held in Seattle, when artist Clarence Beauchamp installed a 32-foot-high Santa Claus to attract the attention of passing motorists. Whereas Shelton was once known as the Christmas tree capital of the world, with a rich logging history and railway cars full of trees for a frequent sight leaving town. Whereas Shelton's giant Santa Claus continued to greet visitors at the corner of First Street and Railroad Avenue until 1999, when it was moved to Post Office Park and later moved to Hunter Farms. Whereas Shelton resident and Mason County Tourism Coordinator Rachel Hansen saw the need to revive the Christmastown USA tradition with a goal of breaking the Guinness record for most lighted Christmas trees and bringing our community together. Whereas the Shelton Mason County Chamber of Commerce, with its own historic participation in the Christmastown tradition, partnered with Rachel to create a calendar of activities to start a modern Christmastown tradition, adding to the existence and events of holiday magic and the Christmas parade, sponsored by Christmastown Kiwanis and the Shelton Downtown Merchants. Whereas the City of Shelton has been recognized for an attempt at the Guinness Book of World Records for most lighted Christmas trees, with 797 Christmas trees counted on December 7th, 2019. Whereas our entire community thanks Rachel, the Chamber of Commerce, and all other community partners and volunteers for their dedicated work towards this effort. Whereas Shelton residents and visitors are encouraged to visit Santa's Christmastown Market at 414 West Franklin Street through December 21st, on weeknights from 4 to 8 and on weekends from 12 to 6. Now, therefore, I, on behalf of Mayor Bob Rogers, do hereby proclaim that the City of Shelton be known as Christmastown, USA. I encourage all residents and visitors to join me in recognizing Rachel and the Chamber for their work. Congratulations. And by all means, if you ladies have anything to add.
It was a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, it was.
I second
Definitely.
that. Thank you, ladies.
I do want to say Rachel was the driving force behind this and came up with the creative idea. I remember her walking into my office and she said, "You're probably going to say no, but," and said, "Well, why not Guinness?" So completely started all of this and has done so much for our community and endless hours that there's not many people that can pull off what she can do. At the same time, I don't think that any other community outside of ours could have pulled this off. From Sierra Pacific, Green Diamond, Simpson, Port Blakely, donating the trees and the materials to the PUD, donating the LED lighting display. to the people that were out bucking trees and randomly showing up due to a Facebook post of help us string lights on trees. I don't know of another community that would have been able to pull this off in such limited amount of time. So I do appreciate everybody's participation in it, and so much to Rachel for coming up with these grand ideas to make our community better.
Well, I would just like to add that I would like to thank every citizen of Shelton and the people that I would have never expected to come out and just offer, just to come and hang out and be a part of a community. It has been a wonderful feeling. It's been exhausting being there for the last 9 days in 414 Franklin Avenue. But it has been absolutely gratifying to see people come from as far as Portland, Seattle, just to celebrate our town. And when they walk in, nobody is disappointed. People are absolutely so impressed with how good Shelton looks, how kind people are to them in the streets. They go to the restaurants, they're having wonderful meals, they're enjoying your community so much. I'm sending them out, obviously, to Hood Canal to go check out that area as well and telling them to where to find the best Christmas trees. But it has been gratifying to see our community come together. And since everything is relatively free there and people have come forward and donated items and done activities, it's just so neat to see people come back every night with their kids, their families, their relatives, and just hang out and have a really nice time. So it definitely has felt very much like a Hallmark movie, and it is really wonderful. And we appreciate the opportunity to be able to bring that to Shelton, so thank you.
And
thank you.
Rachel, while I know you are probably tired of tinsel, I cannot tell you how much we appreciate all of the shine and sparkle you brought to the holiday season, and appreciate you coming to the City Lodging Tax Committee for some seed money to get the ball rolling, what ended up to be a huge snowball. So thank you so much for your hard efforts.
Yeah, we have gotten help from places I would never expect it. I mean, Zin has cooked every night tirelessly for us, and sometimes you can't control her because she comes up with the most amazing menu items, and you're like, no, not for 600 people. But it has been just a fun adventure for all of us, and thank you very much for that. And if anybody wants a Christmas tree, there's a heck of a lot of them out there.
I was going to add that plug, is that if you want a Guinness tree,
Yeah.
you can donate towards them, or you can request a tree.
You can just take one. There's a lot.
Yes. So,
Just a quick question. Do you know by chance roughly how many people have been through the maze or have visited you? Or did you guys keep track by chance?
I was so shocked Sunday night after, we probably had 2,500 people come through the night of the parade, obviously, and a lot of people got turned away. Most people I know just looked at the crowd and left.
Yeah.
But we figured we were going to have crickets from then on, but I'd say we have been between 400 and 600 people every night that we've been open. And the last couple nights we took a break because we actually didn't even think that we'd be able to sustain it for 12 days. But we could have been busy these last few nights too. And it's just, we've gone through, I give you an estimate, we go through those big 64 things of hot chocolate, we go through 4 of those a night. And we have the best hot chocolate in town because we put whipping cream and sparkling. And it's cheap, so come on down. We're opening it on Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday's the last day. But we do have trees if anybody wants them. And we're just going to keep the maze open and take trees out as people take them.
Well, with that, we'll say Merry Christmas Town USA to you both, and thanks everyone in the community for their efforts on this.
Thank you.
With that, we will move on to the business agenda. Donna, has anyone signed up for public comment on the business agenda?
No one has, no.
All right. City Manager Jeff Knighton has information for us about the 2020 work program.
Not nearly as exciting, but we'll go through this relatively quickly. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor, members of council, and members of the community. We at the city have put together a work program by department that's presented to you tonight that these actions are intended to implement the goals that the council developed early on in 2019. And I'll go through a few of them, and then each of the department directors are here to answer questions on any particular item that strikes your eye. One of the first major things that we have accomplished this year and will continue to work on in forthcoming years are process improvement pieces. We want to make sure we're being as efficient as possible with the dollars that are entrusted to our care in order to provide the services that the community expects, and we want to make sure we get the most bang for the buck for those dollars. Employee training and development program, we want to make sure we give our, everybody that works with us here at the city every opportunity to succeed and get where they'd like to go as far in their professional life. Tyler Encode, everybody has heard of Tyler, and for quite a while it's been a dirty word around here, to be honest. We've found a lot of opportunity to use Tyler to its fullest potential. There are modules that we own that we're beginning to implement at this point for permitting and tracking finance particularly to try to get those services online to make it easier to interact with the city. And that is being worked on and will be implemented over time. For community development, we have traffic cabinet art. That seemed to be a big hit for around the community when it went in during the summer on a few of the locations around the city, and we're going to keep that program going. We have municipal code development code revisions that I know are high on the list of council priorities, and it's something that we're going to be focused on early in 2020, along with master plans for several of our neighborhood parks. Financial services, in that department, we want to make sure that we are accurately cost accounting and reporting for our auditors so that when the auditors come in, it's not excruciating, or not as excruciating as it maybe could be if we weren't doing it the best that we could. We want to successfully implement the OpenGov platform, which we have been working on since council approved the purchase of that program. And that's in order to be as transparent as possible with the citizens of this community about how we're spending those dollars that are entrusted to us, and to offer folks the opportunity to plan with us. Tell us what you'd like to see. We want to make sure we engage in conversations with the people in our community. A couple other things, our K-9 patrol teams and graffiti removal abatement team focus on making those things or quality of life issues in and around the city of Shelton, and making sure that our city looks as good as it possibly can. In Public Works, there's a whole lot of things going on in Public Works, as there is every year. A couple of things for quality of life issues. Community life, we want to present council with an acceptable complete streets ordinance, finish our water and sewer comprehensive plans next year, have a salt bin building so that if, and hopefully this doesn't happen, but if we have another snow event like we had in February of 19, that we have our own resources to use to address that issue, and we have them here on site, and we're not going out somewhere else to pick those things up. Being prepared in case something happens, and then hoping that it doesn't, but having the resources to be prepared for that. Several other things, lean program, which is another efficiency measure, and we're going to focus our lean program this year. I believe it's scheduled for late February to commercial permitting concerns, so we can make sure that process is as smooth as possible, so that those who want to invest in our community can do so in the most efficient and economic way we can possibly make it. And those are all the major items that I wanted to present. We'd be happy to answer any questions on any specific item. A couple of things citywide that we'll be focusing on next year. The website update. Our website is in need of a refresh. We want to make sure when people come to our website, they can find the information that they're looking for easily. We want to make it as easy as we can to interact with the city, and that's a big part of that. And I hope that in 2020, at least my goal for 2020, is to start working on moving some of these initiatives forward, rather than putting out fires, or a firefighting approach that we've occasionally had to deal with over 2019, but get those things running and moving seamlessly. And with that, we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments from the council?
One particular program that I thought was successful and would like to continue and potentially build from is the Clean Streets. What did we do? What was the name of it? Where you worked the vouchers for?
The cleanup,
Yeah.
Shelton cleanup.
Downtown Shelton cleanup or the neighborhood cleanup program. I think being able to build off of that and continue that, I think it's a good program to get people used to at opportunity on an annual basis. And if I recall correctly, the costs were fairly negligible and built into an abatement fund, or I believe something like that. But
That's something we'll definitely take a look at, and hope to be able to provide that service again in 2020.
Other comments or questions? All right. With that, then, we will move on to the action agenda for this evening. And Donna, has anyone signed up for public comment on the action agenda?
There is.
All right. Finance Director Aaron B. Miller has information for us about the 2019 budget supplemental.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor. Good evening, council members. Aaron B. Miller with the city's finance department. This is our second supplemental budget for the year. We first briefed council on this at the December 3rd meeting. There are no changes from what we presented there. This would increase the budget by just about $2,025,000 with the substantial portion of that going into the capital improvement fund, and it's really for two projects. It's about $1.5 million for street expenses, grant qualifying street expenses that are part of the Basin 3 project that needs to be budgeted in the capital improvement fund where our transportation is, where our capital for transportation is held. And then there's an additional $700,000, which is a rollover for the downtown connector project for costs that were paid for in 2019 that were intended to be paid for in 2018. And so we had to catch up on the budget for that. The rest is just really small, a little increase to the bond fund of $500. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
There is no public comment. I will ask for a second reading of ordinance 1942-1019.
Ordinance number 1942-1019, an ordinance of the City of Shelton, Washington, amending the annual budget for the year ending December 31st, 2019.
And do we have a motion?
I move to approve ordinance number 1942-1019, amending the 2019 budget as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion from the council? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 1942-1019, amending the 2019 budget as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is Public Works Director Craig Gregory. He's going to speak to us about an engineer service contract.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and council members. As we presented to you a couple of weeks ago, we did put out an RFQ for engineering services, got a couple, two submittals on that RFQ, and ended up selecting Gray and Osborne to provide supplemental engineering services to our current staff, and would ask to enter into that agreement and can answer any questions that you may have.
Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the contract for engineer services and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with Gray and Osborne, Inc.
Okay, second? Is there a second?
I will. Second.
Okay. Discussion. Councilmember Schmidt.
Actually, I'll move to amend the previous motion and for contract engineering service authorize the deputy mayor to sign? Or do we need?
It's, the deputy mayor would be acting on behalf of the mayor in this instance, so, yeah.
So do we have any questions or comments for Craig this evening? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And one more item from Director Gregory, a grant extension for the MTA parking lot.
Thank you again. Bring to you tonight an extension into mid-2020, an expiration date extending out to July, the end of July of 2020, with also the possibility of a 1-month extension to complete that project. That project has been approved by Department of Ecology to move forward. It has been, had an open bid, and we have gotten those results back, which we will be bringing back to the council soon with a 45-day construction period. So we're looking at a very tight timeline to get that project completed, but it has been a long time coming. So we're happy to get going on that and hopefully finish it up with no snags to get it finished up by the end of July and through all of the process to get it accepted.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to ask Craig something. I was asked today, so what is your best guess on breaking ground, I guess, if you will? Would that be like maybe August?
April would be about.
April, okay.
Yes.
All right.
By the time we get the contract in front of the council, get it through a couple of council meetings to get it approved, have a pre-construction meeting and the notice to proceed, we would be out to sometime likely in April before we actually get a contractor out on site and get going on that project.
All right, thank you.
And then, like I said, it's a 45-day construction period.
And do we have a motion on this item?
I move to approve the extension of the grant for the MTA parking lot and authorize Public Works Director to sign Amendment Number 2, the agreement with the Department of Ecology.
Is there a second?
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments additionally for Director Gregory? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. With that, we move on to our second general public comment period. And Donna, do we have anyone for public comment?
We do not.
All right. In that case, City Manager Knighton, I will turn it over to you for your report.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor, members of council. Just a couple things to mention. We had the tree lighting event, which, no bias at all, was probably the best one ever. And that was a fun event. That was a good time with all the children singing. The parade was fantastic, and the pictures that our partners at Cooper Studios took of Railroad Avenue all lit up was amazing. I think they took those with a drone, and just fantastic. It looked really good and shows our city in a really good light. And lastly, we had the Employee Appreciation event today. And it was my honor to award Kim Kilmer as the Employee of the Year for the City of Shelton. She's really stepped up, done a lot of solid, very good work for the Finance Department and for other departments, and she always does it with a smile on her face, and we appreciate that greatly. We had nominees from each department, but we all thought at the leadership team that Kim was the most deserving recipient. So that's fantastic, and then it was a good time and good food too. And that's all I have.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, we will adjourn from our regular meeting into executive session. It will last for 30 minutes, and action will follow.
Oh, and just remember to state the purpose of the executive session.
Oh, pardon me. Thank you. And that executive session is for personnel, and we'll be resuming it, for performance of a public employee, and we will return in 30 minutes. All right, at this time, we will reconvene following our executive session for the performance, to evaluate the performance of a public employee. The action coming out of that meeting is that we are happy to extend or continue the employment with our city manager, Jeff Knighton. His compensation will increase, and we've offered him a 4% bonus in accordance with the terms of the contract. That is the action from tonight. We are very happy to have you and look forward to next year and new goals and continuing to work together for the citizens of Shelton. Thank you.
I believe Gary has the bonus in his briefcase. He'll hand it over to
Oh,
you.
was I supposed to?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, and with that, we will close the meeting at 7:26.
Thank you.
Job,